Welcome to the deep dive. We basically do the heavy lifting, digging through sources so you get the key insights fast.
Yeah, the idea is you walk away feeling informed, not, buried in information.
Exactly. And today we're diving into some really foundational ideas about success and wealth. These come from excerpts of Think and Grow Rich.
And this isn't just like one guy's opinion. It's based on decades of looking at what hundreds of successful people actually did. Andrew Carnegie kicked the whole thing off.
He wanted his magic formula out there for everyone.
Pretty much. A kind of universal success manual.
It's got some serious historical weight behind it, too.
Yeah.
You've got endorsements from a former U.S. president, a chief justice. They saw real leadership principles in it.
Right. And F.W. Woolworth. He apparently credited his whole business empire, even the famous Woolworth building, to these ideas.
Wow. Carnegie really believed this could revolutionize learning, make it much faster.
And the author does this interesting thing with this secret. It's mentioned loads of times, hinted at, but never spelled out. Kind of. It's meant for you to discover it yourself as you absorb the principles, if you're ready for it.
Okay, let's get into those principles. The book kicks off with something huge: desire.
Yeah, the power of desire.
They tell the story of Edwin C. Barnes. This guy had this incredibly intense goal: become Thomas Edison's business associate. Not just an employee, mind you.
Right, an associate. And he apparently just went for it, showed up. The book says he burned all bridges behind him.
That phrase, burning bridges, it really hits home, doesn't it?
It does. It suggests this absolute commitment. Like there's no plan B, no retreat.
You have to cultivate this burning desire to win. It has to be the main thing driving you.
It's almost like it focuses your mind, filters everything else out, so you only see things related to that goal.
It reminds me of that story about Chicago after the big fire. Lots of merchants just left. But Marshall Field was like, nope, rebuilding right here, bigger and better. And he did. That's burning desire.
Exactly. A testament to it. The book links this directly to making dreams real. Think Henry Ford, the horseless carriage.
Or Edison and the light bulb. They didn't wait for everything to be perfect.
No, they started with what they had, driven by that vision. That burning desire to be and to do is presented as, well, the essential starting point.
And it's not just business. The author tells this incredibly personal story about his son.
Oh yeah, the hearing issue.
Born without hearing, unable to speak. The odds seemed impossible. But the father's desire, his absolute faith that his son would hear and speak.
It eventually happened. It's a powerful illustration of what that focused intention can do.
It really is. Which, leads perfectly into the next idea. Faith.
Faith and autosuggestion, they go hand in hand.
The book calls faith the eternal elixir, the thing that gives power to our thoughts, the starting point for accumulating riches or anything valuable, really.
And autosuggestion is how you build that faith.
Yeah.
It's the principle that you come to believe whatever you keep telling yourself.
Whether it's true or not, initially.
Right. So you need to consciously feed yourself positive thoughts, positive affirmations, what the book calls the self-confidence formula.
It's not just chanting things, though. It's about, flooding your mind with the thoughts that match your goal.
Yeah, creating that mental environment where belief can actually grow, like putting on upbeat music to feel more energy.
What's really key, though, is that the subconscious mind apparently doesn't filter.
Exactly. It takes whatever thoughts are dominant, positive or negative, and runs with them.
Which means negative self-talk is, well, the book calls it mental suicide. Pretty stark.
It is. You can literally program yourself for failure without realizing it.
They use Abraham Lincoln as an example. Didn't hit his stride until after 40.
Mm-hmm. And the book suggested with strong emotions, sorrow, love, that kind of woke up his sleeping genius. It makes you think about how life events shape us.
Definitely. And the book even touches on faith and religion, suggesting miracles might be outcomes of this deep state of mind.
Yeah, viewing faith as a powerful psychological force, not just, a religious thing.
Okay, so you've got intense desire, fueled by faith. What's next? The mastermind.
Right. And let's be clear, this isn't some kind of evil genius plotting session.
No, it's defined as coordinating knowledge and effort harmoniously between two or more people.
For a specific goal, the key is synergy. The group's combined energy and brain power is way more than just adding up the individuals.
The book talks about a psychic affinity forming when minds work together like that, like wiring batteries together for more power. Maybe today we'd call it strong rapport or team flow.
Probably. The main point is you can't really achieve massive success alone. You need other people's skills, their ideas, their support.
Henry Ford is the big example here.
Yeah, his collaborations with Edison, Firestone, Burroughs, Burbank. The book argues these were crucial. He was tapping into their collective intelligence, their positive energy.
It's like being part of a mastermind group helps you ride the positive currents in that stream of life the book mentions, towards success, away from failure.
So desire starks it, faith directs it, and the mastermind amplifies it. Maybe that's getting closer to the secret.
Could be. Which then leads to another crucial point, knowledge. But not just any knowledge.
Right. Organized knowledge and specialized knowledge. This is a big one.
The argument is just knowing stuff isn't power. It's only potential power.
It becomes real power when you organize it into practical plans aimed at a definite goal.
And the book criticizes traditional education for often missing this step, teaching how to organize and use knowledge.
That Henry Ford story during the libel suit illustrates it perfectly.
Oh yeah, where they tried to trip him up with general knowledge questions.
Exactly. And he basically said, I don't need to clutter my head with that. I can press a button and get experts who do know.
That shows the value of knowing where to get specialized knowledge rather than trying to know everything yourself.
And the book really pushes acquiring specialized knowledge related to your main goal, especially with the world changing fast.
Mentions night schools, correspondence courses, things that help you focus your learning.
And it makes an interesting point about paid courses versus free ones.
Right. That paying for it instills more discipline, makes you more likely to actually finish and apply it.
Yeah, because you've got skin in the game.
Yeah.
It builds decisiveness, follow through.
Okay, so you've got your specialized knowledge organized. What brings it to life?
Imagination. The workshop of the mind, as the book calls it.
This is where plans get created, refined. It turns that abstract desire into something concrete you can act on, especially vital now, with things changing so fast.
The book splits it into two types, synthetic and creative.
Synthetic is like rearranging existing ideas in new ways.
Pretty much. Using what's already known. Creative imagination is about genuinely new breakthrough ideas. The book says turning desire into money mostly uses that synthetic imagination.
Taking known elements and combining them into practical money-making plans.
That story about the old country doctor selling his secret formula sums it up.
The kettle, the paddle, the secret.
Right. What the drug clerk really bought wasn't the stuff, it was the idea, the potential, and he built on it.
And then there's Dr. Gonzalez, the what I would do if I had $1 million sermon.
Fantastic story. He had this burning desire for a college, no money, but he articulated the plan with such passion and faith.
That someone in the audience basically said, here's your $1 million.
Exactly. Shows how a clear plan, fueled by desire and faith, can actually attract the resources you need.
So these principles, they naturally lead into how you market yourself, right? Your services, your ideas.
Absolutely, because most fortunes, the book argues, start with getting paid for services or selling ideas. So how you present yourself is critical.
Which brings us to leadership. The book makes a clear distinction, leaders and followers.
And notes the big difference in rewards. It lists key leadership traits: self-control, fairness, decisiveness.
Definite plans, doing more than expected, having a pleasing personality, empathy.
Right. And interestingly, it points out a shift happening even then towards more cooperation between leaders and teams, less dictatorial.
The advice on marketing yourself still sounds pretty relevant. Prepare a written brief of qualifications.
Use personalized letters, leverage contacts, maybe even offer to work on probation to prove yourself.
And it stresses the spirit of service. It's not just about the work quality or quantity, but your attitude. Being agreeable, harmonious.
Yeah, fostering cooperation. It even predicts the rise of the go-giver over the go-getter.
Yeah.
Focus on value, on service.
But of course, it's not always smooth sailing. The book talks about failure, too.
Yeah, the 30 major causes of failure. It really pushes for self-analysis here.
Asking tough questions. How's the quality and quantity of my service? What's my attitude like? Do I take initiative? Do I learn from mistakes?
It's about identifying your weaknesses honestly and doing something about them.
And a really crucial point. You're only truly defeated when you quit in your own mind.
There's James J. Hill, Henry Ford again. Guys who hit major roadblocks, temporary defeats, but didn't quit.
They just made new plans, saw defeat as a signal to adjust course.
Exactly. Temporary defeat can actually be a blessing in disguise, forcing you to find a better way.
Which requires persistence. That's highlighted as absolutely essential.
And it lists things that support persistence. Definite purpose, strong desire, self-reliance, clear plans, accurate knowledge, cooperation, willpower, good habits.
It also calls out the fear of criticism as a huge barrier, letting what other people might think stop you from even trying.
Which leads right into the next big topic, fear itself.
The 6 ghosts of fear. Sounds ominous.
It kind of is. The book lists them. Fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death.
These are presented as fundamental, often subconscious forces holding us back.
And the seed of all fear, indecision. It starts small, grows into doubt, then full-blown fear.
The book details how each fear shows up, how it sabotages potential. That story about the man facing electrocution.
Yeah, it illustrates how making a definite decision right then and there can break fear's hold, even in extreme situations.
So the antidote is decisiveness, taking action against the specific fear.
That's the core message. Confront the ghosts head-on with decision and action. Don't let them paralyze you.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. The book talks about America and organized capital.
Right. It credits the opportunities and freedoms in America, at least in part, to this system of organized capital.
Explaining that it's this system that allows for, even simple things like getting breakfast delivered to your door. It takes a complex network.
And it defends capitalists, arguing they're essential to the system, creating wealth and opportunity, pushing back against common negative views.
The key principle seems to be giving value for what you receive, not just demanding more for less or relying on handouts without contributing.
It connects this to understanding the basic law of economics as vital for success within that system.
Then it circles back to decision-making, using a really powerful historical example.
The signing of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah, talk about a high-stakes decision. Facing incredible risk, but they did it. Required immense courage, faith.
And that other incident in Boston, Hancock and Adams demanding the British troops leave. A few determined people making a stand.
Shows how decisive action, even by a few, can trigger massive change.
The point being, people who decide quickly and firmly usually get what they want. Indecision is a habit that holds you back.
The book even suggests decision-making should be taught in schools.
Yeah, as a fundamental skill.
Okay, now we get into some slightly more esoteric concepts. The sixth sense.
Right. Defined here as creative imagination, a faculty most people don't use much.
Yeah.
But essential for genius-level thinking.
And like a muscle, it gets stronger with use.
That's the idea. The more you rely on it, the more alert and accessible it becomes. It mentions Dr. Elmer Gates' sitting for ideas as a way to deliberately tap into it.
Then there's the transmutation of sex energy. This one might raise some eyebrows today.
It's definitely framed in the language of its time, but the core idea is that sex energy is presented as the most powerful human drive, the creative force behind genius.
But just having it isn't enough.
No, it needs to be transmuted, channeled, redirected into other driving forces. Ambition, courage, creativity, persistence.
That's how it elevates thought to the level of genius, according to the book.
It gives examples like channeling it into sales enthusiasm, and it also notes the significant influence women can have on men's achievement through this dynamic.
So building on that, the book revisits the subconscious mind.
And positive emotions. It basically says, these 13 principles are all ways to influence your subconscious. But mastering faith especially takes patience, persistence.
And reminding us again, the subconscious is always working, absorbing thoughts.
Especially thoughts charged with emotion. Those have the biggest impact.
It lists the 7 major positive emotions: desire, faith, love, sex, enthusiasm, romance, hope, and the 7 negative ones to avoid.
Right. Stressing the need to consciously inject the positive ones using autosuggestion, because the negativity can be kind of the default state.
And it connects the heightened brain activity from sex emotion back to being more receptive to creative ideas and influencing the subconscious.
Okay, last big area, intangible forces.
Yeah, this gets interesting. The idea that the biggest forces are often unseen. Don't just focus on the physical.
It touches briefly on things like telepathy, but mainly focuses on a practical technique. The Council of Imaginary Mentors.
Like an imaginary roundtable.
Exactly. A way to apply the mastermind principle internally. You mentally consult with people you admire, historical figures, whoever.
To stimulate your own thinking, absorb their traits.
That's the goal. The author shares his own experience doing this with Emerson, Edison, Lincoln.
Says it felt quite real that he started developing their characteristics.
Yeah, and he even mentions a kind of prophetic warning from his imaginary Lincoln about future chaos. It's presented as a powerful mind stimulation technique, tapping into collective wisdom, even if just imagined.
Wow, okay. That's a lot to unpack. We've gone through desire, faith, the mastermind, knowledge, imagination, leadership, persistence, overcoming fear.
Organized capital, decision, the sixth sense, the subconscious. It's a comprehensive system.
The clear takeaway is that success, as outlined here, isn't about luck. It's about applying specific principles deliberately.
Absolutely. It's about mental discipline, focused desire, smart collaboration, and understanding how your own mind works. To quickly recap, burning desire plus faith, amplified by a mastermind, applied through organized, specialized knowledge and imagination, driven by persistence and leadership, overcoming failure and fear, understanding economic laws, making decisions, channeling energy, programming the subconscious positively, and tapping into intangible forces. That's the essence.
So as you've been listening, think about these ideas. Where could you start applying them? What resonates most with you right now?
And maybe consider this final thought. Given the power this book attributes to your thoughts and beliefs, what's one single burning desire you can identify right now? Something you'll commit to focusing on with absolute clarity and start transforming into reality, starting today.
That's something to mull over. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We definitely recommend checking out Think and Grow Rich yourself for the full picture.
Absolutely. Until next time.